All right, Shalom. This is Brother Gabar, the Lions Den Count, located in Jacksonville, Florida. First and foremost, before I hop into this lesson, I want to give all praises to the Most High in the true Paleo Hebrew names and in the Paleo Hebrew tongue. Yahweh being the name of the Father, and Yahweh Shai being the true name of his Son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ and these other false names. And with that, I want to say Kal Halayim, the Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Ha Rakah Kodash Ma'amaf. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS. Double honors to my elder as well, Aharawan. And shalom to you, brothers and sisters, pushing and keeping this truth and faith and sincerity unto the end. All right. So as you can see, man, this lesson is going into the bombings in Vietnam, and I came across this video. I knew about the Vietnam War, but I didn't know the extent of, how many bombs were dropped on Vietnam, man, primarily by the U.S., in the midst of the Vietnam War. And as you can see in the video, man, one plane load, of bombs every 8 minutes, 24 hours a day for 9 years, right? And then I looked up just approximately how much that was, and that's the article, was circled in red, and it said 7.5 million tons of bombs was dropped on Vietnam during that time period, man. 7.5 million tons, right? And that measurement is just by weight. So in actuality, it was much more than 7.5 million, bombs that was dropped on Vietnam, man. Millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of bombs dropped on that place, right? And I was just looking at that like, man, and these people think that they don't have to pay for that, you know? And the scriptures tell you, the Israelites, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans were scattered into the four corners of the earth, amongst all nations, man. So you best believe that within all those millions and millions and millions of bombs that they dropped on Vietnam, you best believe that Israelites were killed. You know, is they may have looked like the Vietnamese or whatever the case may be, but man, you can be sure that Israelites found death by those bombs as well, man. You know, in that place, because like I said, Israel was scattered unto all nations, unto all people. So they may have looked like some Viet Congs, but a lot of those people was probably Jakes, man, that lost their lives, to America being that hammer of the earth, man, dropping millions and millions and millions of bombs on that place. So I just wanted to get a few scriptures, man, on this subject. I just thought that was crazy, man. Like, like America has to pay for that, man. You know. But this is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 50, and I'm gonna start at verse 23. It says, "How is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How has Babylon become a desolation among the nations?" And I just wanted to get this because America, aka Babylon, is the hammer of the whole earth, man. Through their military might, through their U.S. dollar, they have been the hammer of the whole earth. And I did a lesson maybe like a month or two back, going into how on this topic, America being the hammer of the whole earth, and it tells you how they have I believe it was like roughly 800 military bases all across the world. And in the article, it stated how no other like empire or power on earth has had that much of a military influence throughout history, man. So through the scriptures and through history, man, America, Babylon is that hammer of the whole earth, man. They have went around the whole earth, persecuting the people, man, and primarily, and no one has got it worse than the children of Israel, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, man, and our people that's mixed and scattered amongst these other nations. All right, so it says, "How is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken?" All right, because America's power is dwindling, and ultimately they're going to be cut asunder and broken. This place, America, is going to be destroyed. They're no longer going to be the top dog on the earth, the hammer of the earth, man. They're going to be brought down low by the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shah. And those 200 million nuclear missiles and those chariots, man, the so-called UFOs. The Lord is going to destroy this place. This place is going to be broken. And it says, "How is Babylon, aka America, become a desolation among the nations?" Because America used to be looked at as like the golden city, man. Everybody wanted to come to America and indulge in the things over here in America, man. All right, but this place is gonna become a desolation, man. Gonna be turned to ashes, rubble. All right, And that's ultimately the will of the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushua, for the crimes and atrocities and wickedness, man, across the whole earth. But primarily amongst the children of Israel, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. All right, and I'll get verse 24 as well. It says, I have laid a snare for thee, and thou art also taken, O Babylon, and thou was not aware. Thou art found and also caught, because thou hast striven against the Lord, right? And that snare that the Lord has laid for Babylon, man, again, aka America, is those nuclear missiles, man. Because America was the first to drop the nuclear bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki in Japan, right? And that's what solidified them as the hammer of the whole earth, man. These nations were shook when they saw America drop that atomic bomb, those nuclear bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, in Japan, right? But that was ultimately a snare that the Lord laid, because once these other nations saw that, man, they started procuring and producing nuclear weaponry, man, and increasing their nuclear arsenal. And it's ultimately going to be through those nations that those 200 million nuclear missiles get shot on America. And that's that snare, that the Lord has laid for them, man. And it says, and thou art also taken, O Babylon, and thou was not aware, because America is going to be taken, by those 200 million nuclear missiles, man. Just like they, well, not just like, but, kind of how they, so like it just kind of how they took Vietnam by those millions and millions and millions and millions of bombs dropped on that place, man. The Lord is going to do that to this place, but hey, it ain't going to be no part of this place left standing, man. America's going to be completely and utterly destroyed, turned to ashes and rubble. Man, I'm going to keep it moving. I'm going to hop to the book of Revelation, chapter 18. I'm starting at verse 5. And it says, all right, and this is referring to Babylon, man. Right? And it says, for her sins have reached unto heaven, and Yahweh have remembered her iniquities, man. All right, because Esau, the so-called Caucasian race, through the power, that power seat that the Lord gave them, man, because it's the Lord who set them up to be the hammer of the earth, in that power seat, right? It says her sins, America, Babylon, Esau's sins have reached unto heaven, and Yahweh have remembered her iniquities, man. Hey, so the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushua, has remembered everything, these devils have done, man, since the beginning of the time all the way up until now. The Lord has got a record of the crimes and atrocities and the wickedness and, oppression and persecution that, this nation of people have inflicted upon the earth, man. And again, primarily upon the children of Israel, right? In this verse 6, it says, reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her double according to her works, and the cup which she hath filled to her double, man. Right? So, hey, we went into slavery for roughly 500 years, man. These Edomites, the so-called Caucasian race, are going into slavery for 1,000 years. They dropped millions and millions and millions of bombs in Vietnam. Millions and millions and millions of bombs are going to be dropped on this place, man. 200 million nuclear bombs are going to be dropped on this place. Nuclear missiles, right? It says, in the cup which she hath filled to her double, man. So the same thing that America dished out all across the earth, man, amongst all these nations. But again, primarily the children of Israel. That's, really the only nation I'm concerned about, right? They're going to receive double for what they have done, man. Like they have a judgment for this, man. They, man, millions and millions and millions of missiles, man, and this place, America, is still standing. Like, no, this place has a judgment for the crimes and atrocities and oppression and affliction that they have committed throughout the whole earth, man. They have a sad judgment, man. Written in these scriptures, through the Spirit of the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Like they are gonna see that same treatment, man, that they dished out over all these years and years. In verse 7, it says, how much she have glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her. For she saith in her heart, I sit a queen and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. Right? Because America has glorified itself and lived deliciously, man, off the backs of the children of Israel, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and also these other nations, man, giving them that U.S. dollar and robbing them of their natural resources, man. The gold, the minerals, the oil, so on and so forth, man. Right? America has glorified itself and lived deliciously, through its oppression and affliction, man, being that hammer of the whole earth. You know, it says so much torment and sorrow give her, right? Because torment and sorrow is going to come to this place, America, man. Again, for the things that they have committed throughout the earth. And it says, for she saith in her heart, I sit a queen and am no widow and shall see no sorrow. And when I saw this video, that's the first thing that came to my mind is and shall see no sorrow. Because, man, how can a nation of people inflict that much damage, millions and millions and millions and millions of bombs on the place, and still to this day, a lot of those bombs that they dropped never went off. So kids and people are, like, to this day still being blown up by bombs that never went off all those years ago. So even to this day, they still afflicting that place with bombs. But and America is still standing. This place is still, the pride of their heart have deceived them, man. That's in the book of Obadiah. They truly believe that they shall see no sorrow for those things that they have committed, man. Not only against the children of Israel, right, the apple of the Lord's eye, but also against these other nations, man. Like, America has to pay for those millions and millions and millions of bombs and lives that they took, throughout that time period during the Vietnam War. And to this day, how I said, bombs still going off over there to this day, man. Right? And verse 8, it says, therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire, for strong is the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, who judgeth her, man. Right? All right, because this place, America, is going to see sorrow, man. The plagues and the judgments of the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua are going to come to this place, man. Death, mourning, and famine. All right, and it says, and she shall be utterly burned with fire. This place, Babylon, aka America, is going to be utterly burned with fire. 200 million nuclear missiles, man. And rightfully so. All right, man, this place got to pay these people, these Edomites, and also these other nations. They got to pay, man, for the crimes and atrocities that they have committed throughout the earth, and primarily against the children of Israel, the Lord's chosen people. Again, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, man, and our people that's mixed and scattered amongst these other nations. All right, and it says, for strong is the Lord God, Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, who judgeth her. So when it's all said and done, America, Babylon, is going to get judged by the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. They have a judgment coming to this place, man. And it's just that simple. They got to pay for the things which they have done, man. All right, and this is the book of Isaiah, chapter 9 and verse 5. It says, for every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood, but this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. All right, so in the ancient days, man, every battle of the warrior was with confused noise and garments rolled in blood. Sword to sword, shield to shield. You could see the man in front of you, man, as you cut him down, right? And garments rolled in blood. It was up close and personal, right? But it says, but this shall be with burning and fuel of fire, because this war, World War III, is not going to be fought that way. It's going to be fought with the burning and fuel of fire. People pushing buttons, sending those missiles off. You get what I'm saying? And it's ultimately going to be 200 million nuclear missiles, man, that burn this place up, with burning and fuel of fire. All right. And just to keep going on that point, this is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 50 and verse 14. And it says, put yourselves in array against Babylon round about, all ye that bend the bow, shoot at her. Spare no arrows, for she hath sinned against the Lord. And I wanted to get this because, and that's what these other nations are doing right now too, putting themselves in array, against Babylon, America, roundabout, dealing in their own forms of currency, no longer using the U.S. dollar, right? Building up their own military might in their arsenals, making deals and treaties amongst themselves, and cutting America out, right? That's these other nations putting themselves in array against America, Babylon. And it says, all ye that bend the bow, shoot at her. All these nations that have that military power and capability, right, of those thermonuclear missiles, right? They're gonna bend the bow. They're gonna, and shoot, right? Just like you bend the bow and arrow, and then you release the arrow, man. That's exactly how they're gonna be with those missiles, man. Right now that bow is bending, and when the Lord say, "Hey, it's time," they're gonna release those arrows, man, those missiles. And it says, "Spare no arrows," because just like they spared no arrows, no missiles, no bombs on Vietnam. Those millions and millions and millions and millions of bombs dropped on that place. That's exactly how these other nations are gonna treat America. They're gonna spare no arrows, no missiles, no bombs, millions and millions and millions, 200 million to be exact. 200 million nuclear missiles are going to be dropped in this place. This place is not going to be spared, just like they didn't spare, Vietnam in that bombing campaign, man. 7.5 million tons of bombs was dropped on that place, man. They spared no arrows, so that the same thing is going to happen to them times two, man, times 10, according to the will of the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushua, and verse, it's like Revelation chapter 9. I'm gonna start at 16, and this is going into those missiles, man. It says, "And the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000, and I heard the number of them," right? And this is going into those nuclear missiles that's gonna be shot over here. It says, and the number of the army of horsemen, right? And that horsemen it goes into missiles, man. It's talking about those thermonuclear missiles, man. Or 200,000. That's 200 million, man. Right? And I heard the number of them. It's going to be 200 million nuclear missiles that's going to drop on this place, man. No arrows are going to be spared. All right, and I'm dropping down to verse 18 and 19 to clarify the point a little bit with the missiles. It says, "By these three were the third part of men killed by fire and by smoke and by the brimstone which issued out of their mouths," right? Because by these three were the third part of men killed, man. That third part of men, the 2/3, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, man, and the people of these other nations that's gonna be burned up in this place, man. All right. It says, "By fire and by smoke and by the brimstone which issue out of their mouths." That is talking about the missiles, man. The missile, the main threat is in the head of the missile, the mouth of the missile. You get what I'm saying? The body of the missile is just a propellant, to get it to its target. But the head, the mouth of the missile, is what causes the damage, man. The fire, the smoke, the brimstone. You get what I'm saying? In verse 19, you just clarify that even more. It says, "For their power is in their mouth and in their tails," right? The mouth, those nuclear warheads, right? And in their tails, that's that propellant, that fuel of fire that's propelling those missiles, man, through the air to reach their target, right? "For their tails were like unto serpents and had heads, and with them they do hurt," right? Because again, those 200 million thermonuclear warheads are gonna hurt this place, destroy this place, man. Fall on this place, America, aka Babylon, as we know it in the scriptures, man. All right, no arrows are gonna be spared on this place, man, because they spared no arrows. They spared no missiles, no bombs. And they did not spare the children of Israel, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, man. So they have to pay, man. They have a judgment. Thus saith the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Man, it's crazy, man. And this is all according to the will of the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushua. So when you see these plagues and these judgments, coming upon this place, man, it's well deserved, And again, that's why the Lord tells us to flee out of this place, spiritually, and be not partakers of her iniquity. Roughly paraphrasing, man, because you don't want you want to turn to the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushua. You want to repent. You want to see salvation, man, and not destruction, right? You don't want to get caught up in the Lord's judgment that He has bestowed on this place, man. And these Edomites, the so-called Caucasian race, right? Because they do have a judgment coming, man. And again, for their crimes and atrocities and oppression and affliction, that they have committed throughout the whole earth, primarily against the children of Israel, man. They have to pay for these things. And that just is what it is, you know. So, Carmen, I pray and hope this lesson was informative and encouraging and edifying, Lord willing. And with that, I'm going to say shalom.